want to start with the merch. Take me through, how long have you had that concept in your mind for the Batman logo with your last name?
There's a guy who played here. He long snapped here right before I transferred in, and I knew him through a mutual friend. And he has a long snapping kind of company with guys who play like Power Five and FCS schools. And he signed me like onto their thing, and he's like, just come up with an emblem. And I love Batman, so I just kind of thought put Garmin in the bat symbol and be perfect. So I went with that, and then had someone make it for me, and it was pretty sweet.
Where's the love for Batman come from?
Oh, I've collected comic books forever, since I was about like 5 or 6. So just always go to our local comic store. I'm from Cedar Rapids, so I go to our comic store there in Cedar Rapids and Marion. So been doing that forever.
Did you go to Marion High School then?
I went to Linmar.
Linmar, okay. You know, comics and football normally not two things that you think are going to be the interests of two different of the same person.
Right.
How, do those two passions, those loves, they blend at all? Is there any overlap there?
No, not really. It's just kind of one of my favorite hobbies. Just get away from football because sometimes, you get in your head a little bit if you have a bad day or something. And I like watch all the Batman movies, comic movies. I got Batman tattoos, so it's one of my favorite hobbies just to get into, to get away from pretty much everything.
Are you like Christian Bale Batman? You like the Robert Pattinson one? Which one are we talking?
Right now I'm Robert Pattinson, but before I was Christian Bale. But Keaton's kind of my all-time
Is that the one
favorite.
you started out with?
Yeah.
Yeah. All comics, DC comics, Batman comics. What are we talking here?
All DC, but mainly Batman. I go to our public library in Marion and we'll get anything DC, but if I'm buying, I'll only buy Batman.
And then I guess talk about long snapping. When did you get into it? Because it's never. I don't know if maybe you could argue with me here, but I don't know if any kids in fifth grade like I want to be a long snapper.
No, I actually played linebacker at Upper Iowa,
Okay.
and we needed a long snapper, and I said, oh, I did it in middle school. So I went over and just tried it, and I ended up being decent at it. And then my sophomore year, I had really big success with it, and then realized I could probably go to a bigger school and just focus on that and stop playing linebacker. So I started going to a guy up in Wisconsin who has 15 guys in the NFL right now he trains, so kind of pricey, but it's been a great opportunity that my dad gave me to be able to go up there and work with him all the time in the off season. So I got kind of hooked on it, and obviously it's not, a role position, and it's not glory at all, but it's still really important when it comes down to it, especially when you got Matt Cook with you, and he's a stud kicker, so it's a great person to work with.
Take me back all the way to middle school. First time you're long snapping. What do you remember from that experience?
My dad actually played center here and graduated in '89, and he also long snapped, and we didn't have a long snapper on our football team, so I remember getting yelled at all the time when he was trying to teach me, and I was like, I hate this, I don't want to do it. He's like, well, no one else is going to do it, you're the only one who can do it. So I probably did it for a year and a half, then never did it again, but it was kind of funny foreshadowing what was to come, really.
So you're leaving Upper Iowa. You get the chance to come to UNI where your dad played. What's that opportunity mean for you to kind of follow in his footsteps a little bit?
The coolest thing ever. I grew up with a UNI football room and had a 12 jersey painted on my wall, which is kind of funny because Theo Day wears 12, and he's my roommate, he's my best friend. So grew up huge Panther fan, always wanted to be like him. My sister played soccer here. My other sister went here. My mom was a cheerleader here. So just following that family just was the coolest thing ever to me to be able to come here and transfer in.
I think you made a tackle last year on punt team.
Yeah, I recorded at 1, but I think I had 3. Well, we'll say 1. We'll say 1.
On the punt team in particular, what's that sequence like for you? Because you definitely have to play a little bit of defense, so you have to
Yeah.
play on the field. So what's that challenge like?
I'd say when it is hard when you're going against guys that are linebackers who are 240 and fast, stronger than you. But I think just going back to my days of linebacker, being able to use my hands and being able to get off blocks to get downfield was the biggest key that I brought over from linebacker.
And then what's like what are you thinking about when you're going to snap the ball? Like what's the thoughts? What are you thinking about?
Just I gotta relax because I know my biggest thing last year, first few games, I was freaking out because I didn't play a game in 2 years. I had surgery my first year I got here, so I was freaking out. And then one game I was relaxing a little bit, and then it kind of just carried on to just take a deep breath. Everything's going to be fine. It's football. Just do what you know how to do. You trained to be here, so just let it happen.
And then, you know, I've watched the Bill Belichick thing where he went on like a 15-minute rant about the beauty of long snapping. Is it an art form to you? Like, how do you approach it?
It's totally an art form because you consistently have to do the same thing over and over, and you do one thing. Like quarterbacks obviously throw the ball, but they're throwing the ball at different areas, throwing across themselves, reaching out of pocket, going different places. You have one job to throw it in one place.
Anything else?
Matt Cook's the man.